Hello and welcome to the Talmud Trainer, a structured workbook designed to build Gemara skills as you learn. My name is Rabbi Avraham Wagshal, and I'll be taking you on this brief tour of the workbook and its methods. Starting off with a Mishnah from Perek HaKonis. This is the first Mishnah of the Perek. At this point in the year, students are expected to know very little on their own, and the teacher is giving most of the input. So let me show you how a lesson would look. First of all, a teacher would teach the Gemara skills. There are 10 of these Gemara skills throughout the year. Teacher would explain the skill and show an example of how to do it. The students would then practice the skill on their own in their workbook. This can be blown up on the whiteboard using a projector, or on a smart board using a digital file. That's the best way to do it. Then students can come and take markers and mark it up and put in their commas and their periods and etc. Just like it's shown in the workbook, and then the whole class can view it. That's the best way to do it. Of course, if you don't have a projector, you can still write out the text on the board and do it that way, or you can have students just do it in their workbooks. It just works a lot better using the smart board or the projector technology, easier than writing. Then, after that's done, let me just get rid of those. After that's done, the student is given a introduction to the sugya using what I call the information bar. Here is the information bar on the side, the shaded box, and this basically gives whatever information would be necessary to understand this sugya before the student starts learning it. Okay, so here is just some simple information, and then the teacher teaches the Mishnah text. Students take notes. If they're doing Rashi, they do the Rashi. In the workbook, I've included all the Rashis, and actually a select number of Taisus as well, and I teach Taisus skills as well. However, it can be used or not used based on the level of the class and the student. So really, a teacher can choose to focus just on the Mishnah and Gemara, add Rashi, add some Taisus as they see fit, of course. Here we have a very important part of the book called keywords. Keywords is something which is taught in many classes are using this concept of keywords or milas mafteach. Here you have 4 keywords on the side of in this information bar introduced to the students before they learn this piece of Gemara, and the students are constantly coming across these keywords, and the idea is that the more they master the keywords, the more they'll be familiar with any Gemara that they open up to in Shas. They'll be able to figure it out using the keyword as a hint of what's going to happen next. The next thing I'll show you is how in the workbook I teach students to dissect the Gemara on their own. So they teach them, for example, to identify the major components such as Mishnah, Braisa, Tesefta, Memra, using words like Tnan, Tanya, Tan Rabbanan, Itmar, Amar, and I show them how to circle them, note on the side of the Gemara what's happening over here as a visual guide to help them. Then I ask them to practice this. So in this piece of Gemara, so I do have a Mishnah, Braisa, and a Memra, and a Pasuk. So I'll tell the student, okay, take out your pencils, right, and circle Tan Rabbanan. Okay, a Braisa. Continue scanning over here, and you'll find Amar of Mani Bar Patish, right? Mantana, oh, that's a keyword. I know there's a question going on over there. Ditnan, okay, we're quoting from a Mishnah, right? I can even have them put quotation marks. Continuing on, Shanemar, I have a quote from a pasuk, I can put quotation marks. I could also end the quote from the Mishnah there, or actually it's still in the middle of the Mishnah, so I won't end the quote there. I teach them how, later on I teach them how to identify, to look up the pasuk, so that they know that that quote ends there, and the Mishnah actually continues over here. Okay, so I'm teaching them how to divide. Right now, my students are able. My students are able to tell me that. Here you have a memra. Here you have a mishnah. Here you have a pasuk. Okay, even if they don't necessarily know what the content means yet, they're learning the navigation. Okay, there's also something that I call challenge. Challenge, I use the challenge for advanced students who you don't want them to be bored, so I give them something to do while they've already figured it out, answered the questions. They can go do something extra credit, deeper, broaden their knowledge, so to speak. Here we have a regular review charts. Here's a chart and vocabulary questions to review and keep the knowledge organized and current for the student. And here you have a sample page where there's less teacher input, right? Here's the information bar. I'm giving them a keyword or two, some concepts, but notice that in the practice, they're underlining keywords that they already know and noting their function. They're placing in punctuation marks, and I am not telling them in the information bar where those punctuation marks should be placed, because this is a page ready from in the middle of the year or after they've had some experience doing that, and they can already look through this piece of Gemara and answer some of these questions on their own, and that's pretty cool. Again, it takes a lot of practice. Not all students are ready for that at the same time, but the most exciting thing is when we can take this piece of Gemara and put that on the board and have students come and annotate and underline the keywords and figure out where is the and figure out what's happening on their own. It's the best feeling. They did it on their own without the teacher. They're very excited by it. And then we get to a very exciting point in the year where a student is given a page like this, where they're asked to punctuate the Gemara and answer the review questions below, pretty much on their own. There's no keywords are introduced because they already know Vehatanya, right? They already know that this is introducing a question, and they're going to get some masagim, right, and look in Rashi to help them answer this question. And they'll see Amarav Papa is giving the answer to the question, but pretty cool that a lot of this they can do on their own with some small help over here, go figure, and translation help. Here is detailed comprehension questions that are given at the end of each piece to help them, orient them. So in all basic steps, what we're doing is we're teaching the information bar, practicing the skills as they're learned, and as we go through the year, having the students do more and more on their own. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope to hear from you, giving me your feedback on how you're using this workbook. My email address is rabbiwagshul@gmail.com.